Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope all of you are having an awesome start to your weekends, everybody. This is an IELTS Writing Task 2 class. This was a question that's similar to an IELTS question which was on the exam not so long ago. It's regarding lifetime location, or put another way, where people decide to spend their lives. Hi Carolina, welcome our chat moderator. Good to see our members joining in. Hi Anna, hi Fuang. This is a members chat class, everybody. So to join the chat, you need to be a channel member. You can click join beside the subscribe button. The lesson, as per usual, is brought to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Check us out there. For the general IELTS, visit us at gieltshelp.com. These are the websites that power these live classes. This is the academic IELTS website here. You can click the big red button just above my head there to join the premium version of our course. And it's a great time to join because we have live classes like this that are exclusive for premium website users on Zoom every week. So it's not just a self-learning course. You do get live classes as a premium student, and for general IELTS students, it's the same idea at gieltshelp.com with the green background. And again, just click that big red button right there, and you're good to go. We're an IDP affiliate. We are a British Council partner. We're an IELTS test registration center, and we have been teaching IELTS online maybe longer than anybody else. I'm not 100% sure on that, but good chance. Welcome, Karem. Hi, good to see more students. Hi, Anahita. All right, so students, there will be premium member live Zoom classes sent to you today. So if you do not see the links for your premium member live class, it's premium membership on the websites, not on YouTube, but on the websites. So you should see those within the next 24 hours. If you do not see them, make sure to send me an email. If anybody has questions, send me an email. Adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com. For everyone out there, we do have apps for your phones. Academic IELTS Help, General IELTS Help in your app stores. Check those out and link them to the websites. If you want to see what those premium member Zoom classes look like, you can check out the playlist. It's here. And happy birthday, Anna. I see that Carolina is congratulating you, and there are all kinds of birthday cakes and balloons going on from Fong. So happy birthday, Anna. I hope you're having a great day today on your birthday. Students on the websites for our 9YU for an extra 10% discount. We're still looking for more and more people to help us edit videos. If you like editing videos and you're looking for some work, send us your CV as well. So we have some job openings also for video editors to join our team. We're content producers, so we're looking for video editors as well. Okay, Instagram, IELTS_AEHelp and GIELTSHelp. Well over 100,000 followers there. Become a follower, learn about the schedules. Right now we have task 2 writing, and then we have listening part 3 and 4 shortly after, in about 2 hours. Tomorrow we'll have speaking part 2 for members and speaking part 3 for everybody, and then we'll have our Zoom premium student class on Sunday, and then the other one on Wednesday. So I'll be sending you the links for those 2 classes. All right, so let's jump in. Here's a speaking video that you can check out on the channel. And here's our writing task 2 question of the day. Let's read the question. Step 1, read the question. IELTS writing task 2. It is the last task during the IELTS sitting portion of the exam. You might still have the speaking to do at a later point, but basically this will be the last 40 minutes of your 3 hours. So you're probably feeling a bit exhausted, a bit of brain drain or mental exhaustion going on, but you need to focus. Because writing is arguably, and writing task 2, the most challenging part of the test to get a good score. So you have to stay focused. You have to really pay attention to your strategy, what you're doing, what you're writing. Concentrate. Spend 40 minutes on task 2. Do not spend more than 20 minutes on task 1. You must spend the full 40 minutes on task 2. If you have to go to the washroom, I say go to the washroom during the reading section, not the writing section. I learned that myself when I did the IELTS exam. You want to use all the time that you can in the writing section. Even when you finished your essay, you want to use whatever time you have to review, and catch as many mistakes as you can. Okay? They literally count your mistakes, like 1 mistake, 2 mistake, 3 mistake. And they also look at how severe the mistakes are. So if the mistake changes the sentence or changes the meaning, then they're like, bad mistake, okay mistake, bad mistake. So they count your mistake and they count your mistakes and they look at the severity of the mistake. Basically, there's 2 kinds of mistakes. A not so bad mistake that doesn't really change the meaning of what you're writing, and a bad mistake that changes the meaning or the coherence of what you're writing. Okay, keep that in mind. I mean, ideally, everybody, when you're reviewing your essay, you're looking especially for those mistakes that change the meaning or make your writing incoherent. Okay, so 2 kinds of mistakes. 1, type A, the not so bad, like a small spelling mistake that does not change the coherence. Coherence means the ability to understand. And then there's type B, the bad mistakes. And it could be a spelling mistake. For example, a grammar mistake that changes the meaning. In fact, yesterday, you'll find this interesting. Yesterday, somebody sent me an email, one of our students or one of our viewers, and they said, I'm worried because I just did the IELTS exam, and in my writing task I said I completely disagree in the introduction, but then my body paragraphs were about agreeing to the statement. Is that going to affect my mark? And it's kind of one of those emails where I'm like, how do I tell this person that the answer is yes, terribly? It's going to have a really bad impact on the mark. I mean, well, maybe that person's watching right now, but yeah, I mean, reality is that that's going to have a bad impact. I mean, you're likely immediately losing a couple of band scores for that one. If the introduction says I completely disagree with this statement, and then the body paragraph says I agree with people, and then the second one says I also agree with people because, and then the reader's going, what's going on here, right? So it's considered a bad coherence mistake, and it will definitely drop the score to less than 7 even. Okay, so it's just the reality of it. Carolina is saying it's possible to buy the products here on YouTube through Shopify. Yeah, I forgot to say that. Thanks for reminding me. By the way, everybody, if you want to get our courses, you can do it right here on YouTube through Shopify. You just check out through the Shopify store. That's right, Karam. It's kind of a fatal error. If your introductory paragraph says I completely disagree, and then your body paragraphs say I agree, it's about as bad as your coherence mistake can get. So if you're writing off topic, or if what you're writing is confusing, then that's going to be bad. Okay, let's read this question, everybody. Hopefully some of you have read it once or twice. Like, I think, sometimes people are like, oh, I wish Adrian just read the question. You can read the question. If you're not interested in me talking about Shopify, read the question. So read the question and don't read it fast. Pay attention, and you can start paraphrasing. So some people prefer to spend their life in the same location where they are born, while others migrate to different cities and countries in search of better opportunities. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of both and give your own opinion. Include relevant explanations and examples from your own experience. Okay, so let's paraphrase this question as a first step, just to make sure we can understand it clearly, and also to get some ideas around it. Now, this is going to be a question that will have a lot of opinions, because this is a decision most people make in their life. Should I stay here where I was born, or should I go somewhere else, right? So I'm going to paraphrase this using synonyms, antonym negatives, descriptions, just to get some clarity and start thinking. It's easy for people to rush to an opinion, okay? A very important tip is don't rush to an opinion. I think that's one of the biggest issues in the world. People are too quick to give an opinion. They often will not think before they give an opinion. And it's good to think before giving an opinion. One way to do that is to paraphrase. So certain individuals opt to live their entire lives in the same community where they grow up, let's say, while others move to different locations and nations looking for more choices or chances. Discuss the benefits and negatives of both, and give your own perspectives. Include cases from your own past for support. Okay. Domenico says, that's quite an intriguing topic, Adrian. I'm inclined to favor the advantages rather than the substantiating the other side of the argument. Okay, Domenico, we'll see. You are currently, if I'm not mistaken, still in Los Angeles, and you went there from Sicily. But if I'm not mistaken, you also grew up in Sicily, right? So you've probably got some perspectives on this, and most people would, right? A lot of people taking the IELTS are taking the IELTS because they want to move to a different place. Some people are taking the IELTS because they want to go to university in their local area, right? So a lot of candidates will have an opinion on this. And by the way, everybody watching, I see more and more people are watching now because it is an interesting topic. This was a question on the IELTS exam in the last month, I believe, in the last couple of weeks, actually, or a very, very similar question came up. So makes it all the more interesting, right? Now, I think a lot of people would be quick to jump to an opinion, but you have to be careful because this question saying discuss the advantages and disadvantages of both and give your own opinion. So here we have my paraphrase, and I'm still waiting for other members, viewers here to be paraphrasing as well. This is my paraphrase. Certain individuals opt means to choose, opt to live their entire lives in the same community. Now notice this paraphrasing here. This is an important one, where they grow up. While others move to different locations and nations looking for more chances. Okay. Discuss the benefits and negatives of both and give your own perspectives. Include cases from your own past for support. All right, so a lot of information. We could probably write a book on this question, but we only have 40 minutes and about 300 words. It says write at least 250 words, but as I keep reminding everybody, 250 word essays do not get the best scores. Usually for those, that's minimum. It's like at least means like minimum. But the IELTS examiners, they're looking for more. They're looking for detailed essays, and those detailed essays should be definitely closer to like 350 words. Okay, so high band essays are usually 300 to 350 words, even 400. I don't really recommend going over 400. If you're going past 400, you should be using the time for review and correction instead of writing more. Even if you're fast, even if I made this mistake, don't make the same mistake I made. Even if you are quick and good at English, you should not write more than 400 words. You should use any extra time for review and correction. I wrote almost 600, and that was bad because I'm pretty sure I made some mistakes that I didn't correct. Okay, sorry, a little bit of a frog in my throat this morning. Okay, so where we spend our lifetimes, that's the topic, right? Lifetime. Okay, that's the topic, correct? Everybody agrees with me? Topic is our life, okay? Or lifetime location. We could say that is the topic. If you disagree with me, let me know. And then the controlling idea. So today I'm going to guide you a little bit more. The controlling idea is stay in one spot, the birth spot, where you're born, or move away. All right. So let's define these. What does lifetime location mean? Okay. So what does that mean? It might sound like a silly question, but it's really important to stop for a moment and think about the definition of the topic. So what does it mean to have a location for lifetime? It is the place a person spends most years of their life, their adulthood, parenthood, retirement. Okay. Let me stop bolding everything here. A little bit easier to read. Okay. Is everybody with me so far? So what does lifetime location mean? It's kind of the place where this person spends most years of their life, right? So even if you spend the first 20 years of your life in one country, say you spent it in Kazakhstan, but then you spent most of your life living in the United States, then, you spent most of your time in the United States, right? So it's the place a person spends most of their years, their adulthood, their parenthood if they become parents, their retirement. Okay, Domenico says that's the last one. So Fuang says certain individuals choose to stay in one place where their roots are their whole life. However, others relocate themselves to distinct areas and countries. Getting better opportunities. Karem says some individuals opt to reside in their birthplace throughout their lives, whereas others relocate to various locations and nations in pursuit of better prospects. Karem, almost. I'm going to just take Karem's paraphrasing here because it's good, Karem. Fuang, yours was good too. Karem's is good too. Karem has some nice paraphrasing, some nice synonyms. So I'm going to show you Karem's paraphrase. Karem says some individuals opt to reside in their birthplace. Birthplace, nice paraphrasing here. So it's good vocabulary for this topic. Throughout their lives, whereas others relocate. Nice paraphrasing there. To various, I wouldn't use locations because relocate and locations, it's kind of awkward. So to various cities and nations in pursuit of, instead of improved prospects, I would say better prospects, but improved prospects is okay. All right. Domenico has some nice paraphrasing as well. Good job, Domenico. All right, so now the controlling idea. So the topic is your lifetime location. It means it's the place where we spend our adulthood, parenthood, retirement. Maybe, now that I'm thinking about it, where we spend our higher education as well, right? That's kind of where it starts for a lot of people. They go to another city or another country for studying, for going to university, and then they stay there. And they become adults and parents and they retire there, right? So higher education, that's often where it starts. Wouldn't you agree? So now we want to look at the pros and cons of each. So stay in the same location. Pros and cons. And we'll take a look at that one first. Okay, before we decide on, which one's better, right? Which one's more common? People spending most of their lives in the same location or people moving to other countries? Which one do you think is more common? People moving or people staying in the same location? So this is what I mean by don't be too quick to decide, right? Before you start writing your essay in task 2, spend, I would say, about 3 to 5 minutes planning your essay. Okay, it can really, so people think it's a waste of time, but it's actually a way to save time and write a better essay. I will write that here while you think about this. So contrary to popular belief, taking 3 to 5 minutes to think and plan your task 2 does not waste time, it saves time. With good ideas and planning, you will write faster and better essays. Okay? All right, so what do you think is more common? People staying in the same spot or moving around? Rem says moving. Anahita says moving. No, I would say staying in the same spot is more common. Just imagine if like an entire country moved, right? Imagine if half of China or more than half of China decided, hey, I'm going to another country to spend my life, right? So, which is more common? It is much more common for people to stay, even though these days it's getting more popular to move to different cities or different countries. I would say it's still much more common for people to stay in the same city where they are born. And I'm not going to argue that point. Again, just imagine if you had, you know, like 500 million people from China just suddenly move to other countries around the world, or 500 million people from India, or 20 million people from Canada, right? So most people kind of stay in the same communities, I would say. Okay, so stay in the same location, pros and cons, right? Move to other locations, pros and cons. Okay, so let's go with the pros first. What are the benefits of staying in the same location? Okay. Now, on the IELTS, when you have a question like this, everybody, where the question says, discuss the advantages and disadvantages of both, you really cannot do too much. Maybe one advantage, one disadvantage for each. Okay, so on the IELTS, you really only have time to discuss one advantage and one disadvantage for each opinion. Clearly. Okay. If you try to do more, it is risky that it will not have enough clarity and detail. So, you must do your best to identify the most obvious advantage and disadvantage. Okay, so what do you think is the biggest pro of staying in the same location? Constellation says the pro is the familiarity in the way of life. Okay. Yeah, so I would say that the biggest pro is cultural familiarity and family support. I did just say one, but I would say cultural familiarity and family support, and I think we could kind of combine those two. The pro of staying in the same location is you're familiar with your surroundings, right? That's where you grew up. That's where you learned the language, you learned the culture, the customs, and that's where your family is, your grandparents, your uncles, cousins, and you have their support, right? Your friends that you made in elementary school. All right. Domenico, in the meantime, is saying, I'll be making a quick return to Italy in April to pick up 2 of my furry buddies and take them with me to Los Angeles. So I've decided to settle on the West Coast. So it sounds like Domenico is going to be moving to the West Coast to the US, at least for a while, right, Domenico? So you probably have some pretty strong opinions on this task 2 question. Okay. Yeah, Domenico says for this first one, I bet a lot of these ideas for your hitting home, right, Domenico? Domenico says, friends and familiar surroundings, fostering a strong sense of belonging and emotional support. Yeah. So those are definitely the pros of staying in the same location. What are the negatives? Okay. So what could be considered as bad about staying in the same location? And then while you're thinking about that, also start thinking about the pros of moving to other locations and the negatives. And again, everybody, this was a question on the IELTS not so long ago, a very similar question that was asking about the difference between choosing to spend life in one spot or moving to different cities in different countries. So think about these. I don't want to always just give you this information because this often is the most challenging part for many people, to think about the ideas that they're actually going to write in the exam, in that pressure. Okay. Okay, so Domenico says, I would say the staying in one's homeland, limited access to opportunities, personal and professional growth. Okay, yeah. So limited personal and professional. I think that's very well put, Domenico. I like it. Karem says just simply limited opportunities. Now, Karem, when we think limited opportunities, right, it is good to think about some more details, like Domenico said. So not just limited opportunities, but limited personal and professional growth. Okay. All right. Moving to other locations. Obviously, here, the simplest approach is to go the other direction, right? So more opportunities for personal and professional growth. Now, of course, thinking quick and clever, you realize that, hey, wait a second, I can join these two paragraphs, right? So if this is the end of my body paragraph 1, then this can be the start of my body paragraph 2. Does everybody get that? Okay, so far what we're doing, and for those of you joining in, if you're thinking, where are we going with this? What are we doing with this? So far, what we're actually looking at, everybody, is body paragraph 1, right? And then now we're looking at body paragraph 2 here. And we can see that we're going to have a very good opportunity to link information here. Okay, everybody's following, right? So all we really need is just an intro up here and a conclusion here. Right? Anahita, Fong Karem say, hey, that's starting to make sense. Okay, that's starting to make sense. Okay, and then, of course, the negatives are what? What are the negatives of moving to other locations? Now, here we said the pro is cultural familiarity and family support. The negatives here, of course, would be lack of family support and familiarity with culture, but there's another way to say that. Fuang says homesickness. Karem, that's what I'm looking for. Karem, very good. Karem, thumbs up. So culture shock. Yeah, culture shock is quite difficult, right? And lack of family network or support, potentially, right? Feeling like a stranger. Exactly, Anahita. All right, now, before we start racing into the essay, we've got one more step here, right? It says, give your own opinion. Okay? What should you do? So, what should be your opinion? Okay, it's an important question, so you do need to give your own opinion. And I'm curious, how do you think you should do that? What would be the most effective way here, everybody? That's why you keep seeing my eyes go down. I'm looking at what you're putting into. I'm very curious about your answer to this one. So what is your opinion? So which one should you do? Stay in the same location, move to other locations? What do you think? What should you choose? Let's see what you... I don't want to... I'm purposefully not giving you my answer or my opinion yet, because I don't want to spoil the fun. I don't want you to feel like I'm controlling your thoughts or your ideas. I want you to tell me what you think should be your opinion. So what should you say here? It's better to move. It's better to stay in the same spot. What do you think? I have an opinion, of course, but I don't want to spoil the fun just yet. Yeah, constellation, very good. So Karina says, move to another location. Constellation says, okay, so here are the different opinions so far, everybody, from the chat. And of course, I'm not surprised that we're getting this kind of range. So Constellation says, it depends on personal preference. Karina says, moving to another location. Domenico says, I'm inclined to lean towards other nations for personal growth. Okay. Fuang, interestingly, says, although I love spending my whole life with my family, I opt to move to another nation, right? Okay. So we have a variety of answers here so far, and I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, yeah, what should a person do? What do we do? And this is sometimes, or for many people, the most difficult question in their life, of what to do, where to go, how to be. Anybody ever hear this expression, the grass is greener on the other side? Is everybody familiar with this idiom or this expression? I think every language has this idiom in some way. In Hungarian, they say that people think the fence is made of sausage in other countries. And I've heard, I think maybe in the Philippines or something, that the roads are paved with gold, something like that. So there are different ways to express this idiom in different languages, but it seems to exist in all languages. And this idiom really is at the heart of this question, right? The grass is greener on the other side is the belief that it is better elsewhere. Right? Which is not always true. Right? Like the American dream, Now, Domenico might tell you the American dream is real, and some other people in the United States might say, I don't think it is, right? So, the opinion, although I usually don't suggest doing this, I do somewhat agree with Constellation that it is up to context. Okay, so I am, always encouraging you to think creatively and critically. Constellation, you said it's up to personal preference, right? I said it depends on context. I don't want to put personal preference. Why not? So this is a very important difference here, everybody, between Constellation and myself, that Constellation says it's personal preference. I say it's context is more accurate, dependent on context. Why do I say that? Okay. So think about all of the different situations where people kind of choose to live in a different country. Think about, hint, hint, what's going on in the Ukraine, for instance. And some people might say, well, that's not choice, but it actually is. It's just a very hard choice, right? So I would say it depends on context, not so much on personal preference. Okay. Fwang says it's confusing, maybe. It could be. The reason why I'm saying context is because there are situations where Constellation, it's not like, oh, I prefer to go there because there's a better school there, but it's almost like we're forced to go there. So if a country is suddenly in conflict, or there's famine or drought, then it's almost not really choice, right? People might still prefer to live in the country that they're born, but they basically don't see any other choice. If they stay where they are, where they were born, then there's mortal threat, right? So in extreme cases, people feel forced to leave their birthplace. Okay, so it's not that I'm gonna, write about that per se or really go into a lot of detail there, but that's the most extreme case that comes to my mind, right? Is that sometimes, people, like a lot of Ukrainians that are moving today, and I'm sure Anna will agree with this, are moving because they feel that they're threatened, right? If you're a young man in the Ukraine and your choice is to go to the front line or to move to another country, and some of those young people might say, I'd rather try my chances somewhere else, right? So in extreme cases, people feel forced to leave their birthplace because of what's called strife, hardship, conflict, famine, war, right? A lot of nations in Africa, it's hard to access food or clean water. And even though they might prefer their own culture and climate, they might not have a lot of options, right? So you have to think about those. So visualization is very, very important. So it's dependent on context. All right. Let's start writing, everybody. Let's get into a bit of introduction, body paragraph, and conclusion. So let's do this. Introduction, as most of you now know, has introduction has a hook, a background, and topics, and thesis. My brain was jumping to the body paragraph there. And thesis. Okay, so what could be my hook here? Okay, hook is an interesting statement that captures the reader's attention. In fact, I actually gave you a good hook earlier in the class. I wonder if anybody will remember that one. So for the hook, you can just write an H and then write the hook. If you feel that the question is interesting, and I think a lot of you right now are feeling, yeah, this is an interesting question for the IELTS. And again, everybody, this was an IELTS question in the last few weeks, okay, for task 2. You do need a hook. I know this is when some people leave our class that are watching and they're like, my teacher says you don't need a hook in the IELTS. Your teacher's right and wrong. You don't need a hook, but a hook will make a better essay, will get you a higher band score. Okay? You don't even need to go to the IELTS, but if you go to the IELTS, you'll get a better score, right? So it's the IELTS is not just about what you need to do, it's what you have to do to get a high score. Okay? So what would be a good hook for this? Remember, lifelong location. I don't want to just give you the hook. I can almost feel your brains working, moving, thinking, what should I write? How should I write this? Let's start that again. Starting with a number like millions is a good way. That usually captures people's attention because we're like, millions what? Millions of people. This is how I'm going to start my hook. I wonder if you can figure out what I'm going to write here for the hook. Capture your reader. A good hook can do wonders for your task 2 response. So your IELTS examiner, if they read a good hook that's got no spelling mistakes, no grammatical mistakes, they're going to go, oh, interesting. I'm going to read. It's a good approach. All right. We've got a couple of hooks here. So Fuang says the evolvement of communities has made it more easier for people ops to spend their entirety of their lives in their birthplace. Fuang, you've got lots of grammatical mistakes there. You have to be careful. Are you saying the evolution of communities has made it easier? Not more easier, right? You never mix more with ER. Okay, has made it easier for people to opt for spending the entirety of their lives in their birthplace. Yeah, it's okay, Fuang. It had a few grammatical mistakes there that made it confusing, and I don't know if I'm super convinced or clear on what's going on. Your hook should not keep your reader guessing of like, what are you saying? Okay. Anahita says, millions of people have already abandoned their birthplace. It's okay. It might not be the one I go with, but millions of people have abandoned their birthplace. Yeah, it's not bad. I take out the already. Okay, keep in mind, everybody, a good hook should be very clear for the reader. They should not be guessing what is happening. Okay, like what's happening? They shouldn't feel that way. Millions of people every year face the most difficult decision of their life. Thinking about staying or leaving their birthplace. It's a little bit longer than I would usually recommend, but for this hook, I feel like this is a good one. Okay, so millions of people every year face the most difficult decision of their life. Now, you know, some of you might say it's not the most difficult decision, but I would say it's definitely one of the most difficult, so I think it makes a good hook. Millions of people every year face the most difficult decision of their life, thinking about staying or leaving their birthplace. Yeah, Karem has kind of a simpler version of this. Now, Karem, all we have to do is just take out the second person voice, right? So Karem says, deciding whether to stay where you born or move away is a big choice. Okay, Karem, good. It's basically what I'm writing. It's just more concise, and that's good. We just have to fix it, okay? Deciding on, you decide on. Okay? So deciding on whether to stay where a person, let's get rid of that second person voice, right? So deciding on whether to stay where a person is born or move away is the biggest choice. Okay. Yeah. That's good. Deciding on whether to stay where a person is born or move away is the biggest choice in life. I would state it like that. And that's an excellent hook now, Karem. In some ways, it's better than the one I wrote because it's more concise. The more concise your hook, the better it is, as long as you have the same information. Okay? So, Domenico says, millions of people are faced with the pivotal choice of whether to remain rooted in their homeland or venture abroad in pursuit of better opportunities. Domenico, it's a good hook, but when it's long, you have to double, triple check, make sure that there are no mistakes, okay? So this is Domenico's hook here. And Domenico, it's good. You just have to double, triple check, make sure there aren't mistakes. Millions of people are you don't have to say often because you're saying millions of people. Millions of people are faced with the pivotal, I love this this collocation, pivotal choice, whether to remain rooted in their homeland, very nice writing here, rooted in their homeland, or to venture forth in pursuit of better opportunities. Venture, instead of forth, because forth means forward, it's not as clear, I would write abroad here, in pursuit of better opportunities. Now it's a really nice hook. Okay? All right? Now it's a really nice hook. Absolutely. So, we are on the right path. Let's do the background. Okay. So as many of you know, the background, we're going to call it the BG, the big guns. The background has the definition and the importance. Okay. Definition of key ideas and importance of the question. Why is this question important? So why discuss this question of, I mean, this was obviously an important question, but why, right? So why discuss which is better, right? Maybe to help people choose, right? Okay, so in this case, a lot of that paraphrasing can be useful as well. Okay. Certain individuals opt to live their entire lives in the same community where they grow up, while others move to different locations and nations looking for more chances. Okay, I'm just going to take that and plop it in for my background here. Okay. While you do the same. So this is where that paraphrasing that we did works well for this introduction. Okay. So and I'm going to finish it like that. Millions of people every year face the most difficult decision of their lives. Thinking about staying or leaving their birthplaces. Plurals here work better. This is what I mean. You have to double, triple check your hook. Certain individuals opt to live their entire lives in the same community where they grow up, while others move to different locations and nations in search of better opportunities. And both of these have a major impact on the individuals and societies. Okay, and then comes the thesis. And the thesis here is simply taken from the positives and negatives of cultural familiarity, family support, limited personal and professional growth. So now I have to take all of this information that we thought about earlier, about the pros and cons, and my opinion, and I have to put all of this together in a concise and clear thesis statement. Now, there's no rule that the thesis has to be one sentence. It could be two. But again, the idea of good writing, band 7, band 8, 9, is that you have concise language. So language that's relatively short. Okay. So let's try to do that. Let's try to put this together into a concise context. Okay. All right. So here we go. Thesis. You can do the same. So you can write the thesis, write the background, put your full introduction together. I'm going to keep checking in the chat. Anahita says, these people relocate to new cities and nations either by choice or force from their birthplaces for having a better quality of life. Okay, Anahita, good. Good. You're on the right track. Absolutely. If I put that together with your hook, I think it's on the right track for sure. Okay. The clear advantages of staying in one's birthplace are cultural familiarity and family support, while the negatives are lack of development. Conversely, moving abroad offers more opportunities but also comes with culture shock. I believe the choice should be based on individual's context. Okay, so here my thesis is 3 sentences, right? The clear advantages of staying in one's birthplace are cultural familiarity. We can just take out cultural. So some people spend a lot of time trying to think about a concise thesis right away, and that's tricky with certain questions. So don't do it. You can do exactly what I just did here. Write 3 sentences, and then you can make it more concise. You can make it shorter, shorter, shorter. You can practice this at home so you become faster and better at it. But again, if you don't do it all in one sentence, it's okay. Don't panic. Just do it as 2 or 3 sentences. You can even write the whole essay and then come back and try to shorten your thesis. Okay? Does that make sense, everybody? You don't have to put a lot of pressure on yourself in the IELTS exam to come up with a very concise thesis right away. Okay? So here I can make it more concise now that I have it. Instead of the clear, I can just say the advantage of staying in one's birthplace, of staying local, our familiarity and family. I can even take out support, while the negatives are lack of development. If I know the grammar, I can use a semicolon here. Conversely, moving abroad. Moving abroad, I might do it by just saying migrating. So sometimes you can take 2 words and change it into 1 word. Offers opportunities, but comes with culture shock. So I believe the choice should be based on individual context. And that's how you can combine 3 sentences into 1. Now, I can probably keep going and keep making this more and more concise. Okay. Do I have to? Maybe not. If this were a university paper, I probably would. On the IELTS, I wouldn't spend too much time making it more concise. So there you go. Millions of people every year. See, even every year, you could say, for instance, yearly. Millions of people yearly face the most difficult decision of their lives, thinking about staying or leaving their birthplaces. Certain individuals opt to live their entire lives in the same community where they grow up, while others move to different locations and nations in search of better opportunities. Both have a major impact on the individuals and societies. The advantages of staying local are familiarity and family, while the negatives are lack of development. Conversely, migrating offers opportunities but comes with culture shock. So I believe the choice should be based on individual context. Now you have a Band 9 introduction. Okay, so if you're wondering what it takes for a Band 9 intro, it takes that kind of planning, thinking, and revision. Okay, so planning, thinking, probably say thinking and planning, right? Planning and revision. Okay, planning, writing, revision. Now, revision means you're looking for mistakes and concise language. Okay, Karem says, all right, that makes sense. Domenico writes, this decision akin to a crossroads where familiarity meets uncertainty holds profound implications for one's personal and professional trajectory. And both of these situations have significant implications on individuals and societies. That's some really nice paraphrasing, Domenico. I love it. Okay, everybody good so far? Does anybody have any questions so far? So if some of our viewers are wondering what we're doing here, I'm just looking at the chat here, at the members chatting away. Okay, so Karem is asking a good question here. Karem says, revisions should occur after the entire essay is completed, right? Good question. No. Very good question, Karem. So, in a perfect world, this is Karem's question. It's a very good question, Karem. I really like it. Before I spoil the fun and give you the answer, what do you think I'm going to say? So what will be my answer to Karem? So Karem's asking, revisions should occur after the entire essay is completed, right? And my answer here is no. This is Adrian. Adrian says no. What do you think? When should revisions happen? So when should they happen? Or I should say, no, not exactly. Right? No, not exactly. Okay. Yeah, Anahita says, can we omit the part that where we write has an impact on both the individual and society? Maybe. Is it obvious? Maybe. Anahita, you might be able to omit that. That's a writer's choice. Yeah, very good. So James says this. James says, it should happen at the end of each paragraph. And I say to you, James, you deserve a thumbs up. Yes, I agree with James. Adrian says, I agree. Why? Of course. Whenever you're, whenever you're in a class and you're with a teacher, a good classroom, good education system, the teacher should always be answering your why questions. I think that's one of the problems of teaching is the answer for the why question is not frequent enough and not logical or rational enough at times. So I agree. Karem, the answer is in a perfect world, revisions happen at the end of each paragraph and at the end of the essay. If you do not have time for both, then focus on revisions at the end of each paragraph. Okay? So 1 minute. You've got 4 paragraphs. That's 4 minutes of revisions, right? Because a paragraph has a job to do and it's a complete concept. So you want to revise it, okay? Okay. So you want to check and make sure that you have achieved this, right? When you read your introduction, you want to check and make sure that you've achieved the goal of your introduction, to introduce the topic, to give clarity of your opinion. Okay. Does that make sense? Karem says, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Now, again, a lot of people out there for the IELTS, they think the introduction is just a template, and the introduction should just be something like, some people live their whole lives in the same spot while other people decide to move away. This essay will discuss the negatives and benefits of both, and I will include my opinion. Band 5. Why? It's a template. You don't need advanced English. You definitely don't need to be a college or university student to write that kind of an introduction. So that's not going to get you a very good band score at all. Okay. It's almost worse than ChatGPT. I mean, that's definitely not what you want to do in the IELTS exam. You don't want to write an introduction that's worse than ChatGPT. Right? Okay, so you need to make sure that you have some good thought, good information, original information, and it's effective. Okay, so now we get into body paragraph 1. The advantages of staying local are familiarity and family, while the negatives are lack of development. Okay, what does that mean? So that's body paragraph 1. Let's jump into it. Okay, body 1. Body 1 is going to have a topic sentence, explanation, and an example. Okay. So in the topic sentence, I need to say the advantages of staying local. Okay, so a clear benefit to having a happy life, staying in the same place as where a person is born, is that they are surrounded by relatives, language, and culture that they learn from infancy, and this gives a sense of confidence and ability to achieve. Super long topic sentence. Do I like it? I like the idea. I don't like how I wrote it. Okay, I'm kind of focusing on this in today's class. You've probably realized that first, I'm always getting the idea out as the writer, and then I'm looking at how can I shape this idea. Okay, so don't necessarily try to do both. What's most important is that you get the idea out and then you can shape it. Okay, and again, we don't want to go sentence by sentence, because if I go sentence by sentence, it becomes time-taking, confusing. It could turn into a jungle of information. So as I said to Karem, and that's why Karem was a really good question, revise afterwards, after the paragraph. Okay, so here comes the explanation. Okay, so what does that mean? Relatives, language, culture being a benefit, right? And here I might have to combine this with the example, otherwise it could turn into a very long essay. And the whole time we have to remember this is 40 minutes and 250 words minimum, but you're writing more closer to 300, 350. Okay. All right, Anahita says, staying in one's own homeland or city just demands that they keep up with their own relationships, culture, educational system, and lifestyle. This does not require much effort, leading to a happier life. Yeah, leading to a happier life. Anahita, sure. Having been born in Canada, learning English, and gaining the support of my parents, I have successfully completed university and attained a job as a teacher. Okay. All right. So here I'm kind of giving the explanation and the example in one go. So having been born in Canada, learning English, and gaining the support of my parents, I have successfully completed university and attained a job as a teacher with relative ease. Okay. Now, don't forget the negatives, right? However, living in a birth country may also lead to certain professional limitations. Okay? So remember the structure, right? Advantages and disadvantages, lack of development. All right. Now, again, so here I kind of have two topics, two explanations, examples. Okay. Stay with the same example that creates cohesion and coherence. All right, and keep writing, everybody. So don't let me just suddenly kind of take over your brain and give this information for you. Domenico, I would love to see how you interpret this body paragraph now that you're living in Los Angeles. Anahita, I know that you're in Canada and you've left Afghanistan, so I'm sure you'd have a pretty interesting essay and some personal thoughts on this. Fuang, I know that you're in your birthplace or birth city, if I'm not mistaken. So you'd have some interesting paragraphs here as well. So keep writing. I'm really curious to see what you're going to write for this. And if you don't get it all done in the class, everybody, do remember that you can send me your essay by email. And I would love to see your essays here for sure. This is especially an interesting topic for me to read also. So you can send it to my email addresses here, adrian@aehelp.com, and I will give you a free band score estimate. And then this one I'll read myself. Okay, some of them my colleagues read them, but these ones I will certainly read myself. Right? Okay, so the explanation example. Never having lived in the US, at times I feel my teaching career could have soared to new heights had I graduated from a distinguished university in America like Harvard. Okay. So that is my first body paragraph, and now I review. So going back to what we were talking about, right? Review after the paragraph is done. So a clear benefit to having a happy life, staying in the same place as where a person is born, is that they are that's a really long sentence. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. A clear benefit to a happy life by staying where a person is born. I can take all that out. When you're reviewing, you suddenly notice oftentimes that I can delete a lot of what I'm writing here. There's a lot of redundancy. I know that I see this with certain students who send essays for marking, and I just end up deleting entire phrases and sentences where I'm like, you already said that. That's there. That's obvious, right? So a clear benefit to a happy life by staying where a person is born is our help from relatives, language, and culture. Giving a sense of confidence and ability to achieve. All right, much better. I literally took out an entire line, I think a line and a half from before. So, and it's still the same sentence. So a clear benefit to a happy life by staying where a person is born are help from relatives, language, and culture, giving a sense of confidence and ability to achieve. Okay, and a bit of explanation is already included there. I can even do this. Use 2 commas here for an additive clause. All right. Having been born in Canada, having been raised in Canada is even better here, especially in my context. Having been raised in Canada, learning English and gaining the support of my parents, I have successfully completed university and attained a job as a teacher with relative ease. However, living in a birth country may also lead to certain professional limitations. Never having lived in the US, at times I feel my teaching career would have soared to new heights. Important correction there. Had I graduated from a distinguished university in America like Harvard. All right. Now it's a concise paragraph. Okay, so I looked for mistakes with spelling, like heights. I looked for grammatical mistakes, and also ways to make the paragraph more concise. And those are the types of mistakes that you want to check for and that you want to correct. Okay, Domenico. Thank you, Carolina, for putting my email in there. And definitely, students, I'm really curious to see your essays for this, okay? So now comes body paragraph 2 here. All right, but instead of writing body paragraph 2, I'm going to look at what Domenico is writing. Good for you, Domenico. You're getting lots of experience with writing now that you're in Los Angeles doing your master's. I'm sure you're improving your writing tons and tons, and I'm sure one of the reasons you keep coming back to these classes is because it's helping with your writing in university. Domenico, am I right there or am I wrong? So are you hearing a lot of the same kinds of information from your colleagues and peers and maybe even students in Los Angeles about writing that you see in these classes? I wouldn't be surprised if you do, because the University of Victoria that's here in British Columbia is similar in many, many ways to universities around the world, but also, of course, very similar to universities you find in California. A lot of teachers, professors move up and down the West Coast. Okay, Domenico is saying the pros of staying in one's birthland offers familiarity but limits access to personal and professional growth. You don't need opportunities. Conversely, relocating to regions with thriving industries and economies promises better career prospects, higher salaries, and access to top-notch educational institutions and job markets, albeit with challenges of integration and assimilation due to cultural shock. Take out those redundancies, Domenico. Integration, assimilation are the same. Therefore, I believe the choice depends on individual aspirations and context. Yeah. Okay, very nice writing here, Domenico. Very nice writing. All right. Domenico, I think this is more your introduction here. Okay, make sure that your body paragraph doesn't just simply repeat your introduction. That's a very, very important point. Okay. Students, I will finish body paragraph 2 and the conclusion for you, and I will post it in the community posts. I actually put a couple of posts in there. So has everybody seen that? In the community posts on the channel, you will see so here are the posts. Okay, you will see the posts here. This is a task 1 table that we did with the trains and such, and then the other one that I posted was should be a task 2. Yeah, this one here. Okay, so remember that question about governments should ban dangerous sports? That was another question. I put the whole essay here in the community post. So check out those community posts, okay? Everybody? All right. And I'm going to post this full essay there as well. What I want you to practice, okay, this is very important, everybody. Don't run away yet. What I want you to practice when you're answering this question, again, everyone, this is the question here, is some people prefer to spend their life in the same location where they are born, while others migrate to different cities and countries in search of better opportunities. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of both and give your own opinion. So when you answer this question, when you send it to me, I'm going to give you a band score estimate, and you're going to get a little bit of feedback from me saying it needs to be more concise, or you need to pay attention to grammar, or coherence. You need to make sure that you review it. Okay, so when you send your essay for a score estimate, make sure to review after each paragraph for cohesion and concise, cohesive and concise language. Okay? Everybody clear on that? Yes? So when you send your essay for that score estimate, make sure to review each paragraph for cohesive and concise language. Okay? All right, students, in 30 minutes, we've got IELTS listening coming up. That's going to be from our websites, the listening materials. We'll actually listen to the audio. It's just like the real IELTS listening exam. You can get that material from aehelp.com and gieltshelp.com when you sign up for the premium packages. And I will also be sending the Zoom links to our premium website members later today. So make sure that you see them or you have them within the next 24 hours. If you do not have your premium class Zoom link, send me an email. I will check your status, make sure you're a premium user of the website, and if so, I will send you the links for Sundays and Wednesdays class, okay? All right, everybody, back in 30 minutes. You're very welcome, Anahita Karem. Carolina, thank you. James, thank you. Karem, good work today. Okay, Domenico, good work today as well. Absolutely. All right. I'll be back in 30 minutes with listening. Don't go too far. I'm Adrian signing out from Victoria, Canada for now. Back in half an hour. Bye, everybody.